This is the Pipeline Podcast, where you'll get to know the next generation of Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's see who's coming down the pipeline today with your host, Dylan Tyrer.
Welcome to another edition of the Pipeline Podcast. Really excited for this week's episode, and I'm happy to have you back with me to get to know Blue Jackets prospect James Malatesta. It's a really fun interview. I really enjoyed getting to know James. He's got a ton of energy, really nice guy, really smart guy, and he's somebody that I'm going to be rooting for going forward. I think he has a real shot to be something special for the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Blue Jackets organization. A little bit about James. He was drafted by the Blue Jackets in the 5th round, 133rd overall of this past summer's 2021 NHL entry draft. Currently in his 3rd season with the Quebec Remparts of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He's really had a terrific season there. The Remparts, one of the top teams in the Q this season. They're coached by an NHL legend in Patrick Waugh, but this season James has been really strong. He's got 21 goals and 24 assists for 45 points in 59 games at the time of this recording. He's also got 7 goals in his last 10 games at the time of this recording. So really hot right now is James Malatesta. A big opportunity for him coming up. There's just a few more games left in his season ahead of the postseason. So a really big opportunity for James Malatesta to make some noise in the playoffs as well. The more experience, the better, right? Especially when it comes to postseason hockey and that really tough style of hockey. A little more about James. He's a left wing. He shoots left. He's a native of Quebec, so French-Canadian, stands at 5'9", 190 pounds. So a little bit on the shorter side, but he's really impressed people with his size, with his physicality, and with the work that he puts in the weight room in the offseason as well. We're going to talk a little bit about that with James coming up here in a few moments. But this guy, he's ripped. He's very well built, and that plays into his game as well. He's a bulldog. He's not afraid to run people over, really quick as well, and he has that scoring touch. I just mentioned it, 45 points in 59 games this season in the Q. So really good stuff from James Malatesta, and like I said, overall, a very nice guy. So let's get into it right now. Here he is, Blue Jackets prospect James Malatesta. All right, James, so you're a good Canadian boy, and this is how I start every interview with all of our Blue Jackets prospects that we talk to. I'm curious how you got into the game. So obviously easy to get into playing hockey in Canada, but what was the story for you? How did you fall in love with the sport?
Well, I think it started all on my street that I grew up on, playing road hockey as a little kid. I think a lot of young players start there with their buddies on the street. And then from there, it gradually went on when I was old enough to start skating and learning how to skate on the ice with my dad as, kind of my mentor when I was younger, taking me to the rinks and spending countless hours with me, shooting pucks in my basement. And then I think just from there, watching the game on TV and seeing how far it could take you and the things that, it can do, and that potentially being your job in your life, I think that really motivated me. And then from there, just the love from the game, made me fall in love with it and do everything that I do and put the countless hours in that, I've done.
So it was always your dream to become a pro hockey player from the start?
Yeah, that's what I had my mindset on from when I was a little kid.
All right, so I take it you were a big fan of the National Hockey League then. Were the Montreal Canadiens your team, being a French Canadian yourself, or did you like some other teams?
No, I mean, they were definitely my favorite team. They're like my hometown team. I went to go watch them also, a good amount of times when I was younger. So I think watching them play and going to the games there and getting the vibe for the atmosphere and the fan base that, an NHL team can have, was really cool. So that definitely, made me want to get to that level even more.
And there's no better place to see a National Hockey League game, definitely in Canada, probably in the entire NHL, than in Montreal. Electric atmosphere, electric environment in Montreal. So a great place to grow up. Who are some of the guys that you looked up to in the National Hockey League and maybe tried to model your game after when you were younger? And maybe some guys even in the modern NHL now that you look at and say, hey, yeah, I'd like to play like him.
Well, when I was younger, I watched a lot of, obviously Montreal games. So I watched a lot of, Gallagher, Galchenyuk when he was there, Pacioretty when he was there. I think, a lot of those guys when I was younger watching the Habs and, watching them when they were also pretty young in the league. I watched a lot of their games, but I think nowadays, I try and watch a lot of players and, bring different aspects into my game. Like, I think with Matthews, you look at his release and his shot, it's just at a different level that, you try and maybe look at things that he does during a game that maybe you can try and practice and then eventually, bring that into a game. And then you look at McDavid with his speed, Crosby with his edge work. So, there's a lot of different players, Marchand with, his compete level, his vision, Pasternak, his shot. So, I mean, I can keep naming players forever, and Line A, his shot. So, there's a bunch of different players that I like to look at. And, I think a lot of hockey players do this as well. You just kind of look at what each player does, and then, you try and bring little aspects of every player into your game.
You sound pretty obsessed with the National Hockey League and hockey in general. Would you fancy yourself a hockey nerd and somebody that watches a ton of games and breaks things down?
Yeah, I'd say I'm a student of the game. I like to watch a lot of hockey. I mean, this past weekend we were on a road trip, and the days that we had off, we actually went to go watch hockey games. So, I love watching hockey games if it's in live or on television, or I love playing hockey and I love watching it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Have you watched a lot of Blue Jackets games since you've been drafted by the team? I'm sure it's a little bit harder to watch Blue Jackets games up in Canada, but have you caught what you've been able to?
Well, yeah, I try, and whenever I have a chance and I see they're playing, if it's not on TV, I always try and live stream it. But yeah, no, I've watched a couple of their games, and yeah, I mean, they're known for their work ethic, their hard work, and competing, and they're obviously pretty skilled this year. So yeah, it was a good couple of games that I've watched.
I know you a bit as a player, and everything that you just described, the way the Blue Jackets play, I think that fits you to a T as a player, right? For our listeners that aren't familiar with you, and you mentioned a player like Brendan Gallagher, who I'm sure really fits what you want to be in the National Hockey League one day. What kind of player are you for our fans that maybe aren't as familiar with you?
Well, for me, to get to that level, I think my game is, I compete hard. I have good speed, good shot. So I think I have all the qualities, and then, that I have that kind of extra, grit in my game. If it's around the net or in the corners, or, finishing my checks, kind of that extra thing that I think will get me to the next level is, that extra grit and that extra compete level that I have in my game, along with, some good skills and good speed.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I'm curious with all that in mind, because some of those things that you mentioned there, the grit, finishing checks, that's stuff that you add to your game a little bit later on, right? So at what point for you did you figure that maybe you could make something out of hockey? Maybe you could be a pro one day. How old were you, and where were you at in your career at that point?
Well, I'd say it was probably, I always loved the game, and, dreamt about going far with it, and, it taking me places that I thought I could have never went. So I'd say around close to my midget year, when I was going into midget AAA. And then we had a spectacular run in the playoffs. And then that's when, back then I was getting a lot of university Division I offers. Then it was the Q draft as well. So, I had some teams getting in contact with me, and I was getting offers. And then after, when Pat sat down with me, Patrick Roy, and took the time to, talk to me and really convince me to come here, I was like, okay, wow, he wants me. So, he has a lot of confidence in me. And, from there, I think my confidence just went up, and I was like, if I keep putting in the hours and the time and work here, I think I can do something special.
Yeah, you mentioned right there, Patrick Roy, NHL legend, is your head coach right now in Quebec. And obviously that's a game changer right there when he's talking to you and he wants you, right? But talk to me about that NCAA route. Was that at all a reality for you at any point? And what was that process like, deciding that you would play major junior?
Yeah, so during my midget season, I'd say it was when I got the majority of my my offers, and I visited a good amount of schools. I think maybe 4 or 5 schools, and I also visited some prep schools that I was going to go to the following year. So yeah, my mind was, set since I was younger. It was set on D1 university and then going to prep school. So yeah, and then when I got drafted by Quebec, I was actually writing my SATs, so I didn't even know I got drafted. And then after I checked, and I was like, oh my God, Quebec. So obviously I played a lot of. I played the Pee Wee Quebec tournament here, and when you're younger, everyone's in awe. You walk into the rink, and I remember saying to myself, like, man, the team that gets to play here every game is super lucky and stuff. So yeah, and then I agreed that I'd come down for the 48 hours to the camp, and from there, Pat showed us the whole rink. My parents, got to meet the teachers that I go to school with, so I think we felt very comfortable from there. And then after that, even there, I was like, I got back in the car with my parents, and I was like, man, like, like I really like that place. Like, I felt like the warmth and everything right away. So technically after that, I just, back and forth, my agent was coming over, we were talking, trying to pros and cons of both sides, things like that. But then at the end of the day, it was just, where I felt most comfortable going, and me and my family, and, Pat had a lot of trust in us, and we had a lot of trust in him as well. So yeah, I'm very happy with the choice that I've made.
Yeah, it sounds like a dream scenario for you. You're close to home. You're in a place that is, beautiful to play, obviously, a great environment, and you have an NHL legend as your head coach and general manager. So tell me what that's like, what having Patrick Waugh behind the bench is like, and what he's meant for your game as you've progressed through the queue and now have been drafted by the Blue Jackets and hopefully will play in the NHL someday.
Yeah, so I think when I came in my first year, I had a good amount of holes in my game, things where I wanted to improve in, like my defensive zone, also, wall plays on breakouts as a winger, and being more patient with the puck, things like that. And I think that over the past couple of years, I look at my game now, and if I were to look at a game my first year and look at a game now, or even last year, I think, those are things that I've gone better in. And, it's all because of the hard work that we put in practice. And, after practice, sometimes Patsy's on the ice with me. We do a couple of drills and stuff. So I feel more confident and better in the things that we're doing. And also just every day, he comes to the rink with a smile on his face, which makes, all the players have smiles on their face. He has that winning mentality, he knows how to build a winning culture. So whenever we come to the rink, we know it's business, but he also knows when it's time to have fun. And, he's a very cool person to have around in the room.
I feel like I looked at your stats over the course of your Q career, and you're in your third season in the Q right now, and you're a very consistent player. It's like you almost have the exact same stats and the same amount of games every single season, but you're really hot right now. You've got 7 goals in your last 10 games at the time of this recording. Is your game right now, does it feel the best it has all season long?
Yeah, I think during the season I had a lot of ups and downs. I think a lot of players go through that, and I think it's just how you bounce back. And I think coming back after Christmas, I was a bit, on a little drought. And, the best way to come out of that is just to stick to your game and play to your identity. And that's what I've done. And, finishing the season on a high note, going into the playoffs, feeling good about yourself and as a team, I think is very important. So for the last 9 games here, we're just going to try and do the same thing. And, I'm just going to try and go into the playoffs with a good amount of confidence. And yeah.
What are the expectations for your team? Because you're tied for first place in the queue right now. So is it, win things there and then Memorial Cup? What are all the expectations and what are the hopes for you this year?
Well, I think we have our bar pretty high. At the beginning of the year, we knew we were a special team and that we could, accomplish a good amount of things. I think we have a very skilled team, but we also work very hard. So yeah, I think, we're going to focus on the last 8-9 games here. We don't want to look too far ahead of ourselves, but, we just want to finish, feeling confident, as a team and where our game is. And from there, we're just going to, take care of business in the playoffs. And, it's obviously a new season. So we're going to be seeing teams that we've played or, teams maybe that we've lost to in the playoffs, in the regular season, we'll see them in the playoffs and stuff. But, everything that happened in the regular season doesn't really matter because, it's only it's 3 games that you lose and you're out and stuff. So you can lose one night, win the next, and, so you just have to focus in the moment.
What's that playoff atmosphere like playing major junior hockey? Because, I'm from the United States and I've always looked north and, there are some major junior teams in the States and I've
Mhm.
always thought that's the coolest thing ever. It's like a mini NHL in some of these towns. So what's the playoff atmosphere like there for you?
Well, that's a good question because my first year got shut down because of COVID, and then last year we didn't have any fans in the stands for the
True,
playoffs.
true.
So I'm asking myself the same question, but I think with the fan base that we have in the arena we have, and also the team we have, I think we're going to attract a lot of fans, and I just can't wait to see this place packed the first game of the playoffs. But I think it's going to be pretty cool, and it's definitely gonna motivate us every night to give it our all.
All right, tell me about being drafted by the Blue Jackets. What was that whole draft process like for you? Did you think you may go a little bit earlier than you did? Did you think you may go later than you did? And what was the communication like with the Blue Jackets before and after the draft?
Yeah, I think before the draft, you see all these, you see all the projections above you, and I think not that people shouldn't really look at that too hard. I mean, I knew it said where I was going to go and stuff, but I just wanted to get drafted. And then from there, I think everyone just has to show the team that drafted them, why they drafted them, and, give them something to like about you. And so when I was drafted by Columbus, I think we had one or two meetings before the draft. And yeah, I think they went really well and I felt confident. And when I saw they had those back-to-back picks in the fifth round, I was like, I was waiting all the way to the fifth, and I was getting a bit nervous at that point. And I was like, okay, here it is, here's my time. And then when I saw my name pop up, it was just complete joy with me and my family that was at my house. And yeah, it was a very surreal feeling. And, it's a moment that I'll keep with me for the rest of my life.
Who was the first phone call from the Blue Jackets organization? Who did you hear from first?
I'm pretty sure I heard from Rick first.
Oh, very cool. What does that mean to you? Every guy that I've talked to, that's the biggest thing for these Blue Jackets prospects is that, Rick Nash is in charge of all of your development, which is really, really cool to have an NHL legend like that. Not just an NHL legend, but a legend for the team that he's working for. And, he's a guy that knows Columbus and loves Columbus. So how cool is that for you, a Canadian kid who watched him win gold medals with Canada, to get that phone call and really have communication with Rick Nash and have Rick Nash be the link between you and the Blue Jackets organization while you're not here right now?
Yeah, no, I think it's very special. And, I try and take full advantage of that. If I have, any questions or anything, he says, don't hesitate, reach out, which I think is really cool. And yeah, getting that call, I mean, I think that's the moment where it kind of kicked in, like, you're drafted in the big leagues now, and you just have to continue working hard. But yeah, no, I think it's very cool. And, he knows the game so well, and he knows what you have to do to get to that level and to stay there as well. So to have him, him and also Derek Dorsett and just a lot of people in the organization there for any of your needs or anything that you need, I think they're a very good organization. And yeah, to have people like that in it taking care of you, I think is very special as well.
What's the communication with the Blue Jackets organization been like as your season has gone on? Are you guys talking a lot, a little bit, or is there just kind of a steady flow of, check in every now and again?
I say we've been talking a good amount. I mean, Doris came to, I think, 3-4 of my games this season. And, whenever he comes down, we always try and go grab a bite to eat, catch up, see how things are, on both of our ends, hockey and off the rink. And a couple of weeks ago, Rick came to one of my games. We got to chat a bit after, just catch up, talk, see how things have been. And also the strength coach, Nick, he calls about every month, just see how my strength is, conditioning, if there's anything that he can do to let him know. So I think it's been very good, the communication. So, they have a good, they know what it's like, what it's been like for me during the season, when it's been more busy or not. But yeah, no, I think it's been very good, the communication, and yeah.
Tell me about your strength and conditioning, because I think a lot of people in Columbus were impressed when you came for development camp and training camp, and that's a big part of your game, right?
Yeah. So that's like, I focus on that a lot in the summer, going in the gym. And, that's something that I love to do. I don't wake up in the morning and dread it and be like, oh, I have to go to the gym. It's something that I look forward to and, I take pride in. So, yeah, for sure. I think showing up to the Blue Jackets camp last year in shape, really helped me. And, I think it turned a couple of eyes. You see me, I'm not maybe the tallest guy, but, I think I'm sturdy, and, I'm not the easiest guy to move on the ice as well. So, yeah, no, for sure. But, this year with the tight schedule we have, it's hard to get a lot of gym sessions in, but it's, for sure when I have the time, I go in the gym and I train hard.
All right, tell me about that experience at Blue Jackets camp then. I'm sure that's eye-opening to be with all these different NHL players and things like that, but did it help your game, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think it really did. And, seeing that I was able to, keep up and play at that level and that high paced game, really made me have, a lot of confidence and believe in myself. And also going to, everyone going to the main camp after as well, and getting to practice and play against the NHLers, I think was very cool. And yeah, obviously being on the ice and sharing the ice with those guys was something special. And I think, they push you pretty well, and, it was a very good compete level out there. So it was a great experience.
Does that do something for you confidence-wise? Thinking back to the beginning of this season in the Q, when you step on the ice for the first time, you can think to yourself, yeah, I've already played with NHLers and seen how it's been. So does that do something for you as well? I always ask that question because I think for me, if I were in that scenario, I think I would get a lot of confidence from that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it gives you a tremendous amount of confidence. And, I think that's good for your game because, every player, I think they're at their best when they have a lot of confidence in themselves and they just feel comfortable on the ice. So I think coming back into Quebec after the training camp, I definitely came back with a lot of confidence.
Tell me about yourself off the ice. What are some of your interests? TV, movies, music? What do you like to do?
So off the ice, I'm a big sports guy. So all around, I like watching, football. I like watching a bit of baseball, the playoffs, basketball right around the corner. They're starting up soon, the playoffs. So, I'm a big sports guy. I like watching that. And then other than that, I mean, off the ice, I like just spending time with my family, relaxing, catching up with some buddies. And music, I'd say I'm, a rap. I like rap, but I also like a lot of other songs. Like, I think coming to Quebec here, we listen to like a good amount of country. So I've turned into a bit of a country guy as well. And then, yeah, I think Netflix shows. I wasn't that big into Netflix until last year because we had so much time off with COVID that, I had a lot of free time on my hands. So I think I watched Friends last year for the first time. So I finished that whole series in, a couple of weeks. Because when I watch it, I don't like, I get rid of it and like I watch at least 3-4 episodes a day, and then so yeah, I think and then yeah, Prison Break I've seen, Top Boy, it's like, a good series that I've seen as well. So yeah, I've been through a lot of series and movies.
All right, good to hear. So new into Netflix. That's very interesting. Did you play other sports growing up, or were you just a hockey player?
No, I did play other sports. I played soccer, lacrosse, and football.
Was hockey your best?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd say I was pretty good at football as well. And then when it came down to it, it was like between hockey and football that I was like, choosing because they were kind of conflicting with each other. So I had to choose one or the other, but I chose hockey.
What position did you play in football?
Running back.
Yeah, I figured as much. You've got the running back build and the speed.
Yeah.
I thought you would say running back or linebacker maybe, but yeah, definitely a running back. Who's your favorite football team? Or I don't know how it works in Canada. Are you a fan of one NFL team, or do you just like the league as a whole? I don't know. What's the closest team to Quebec, I guess? Buffalo?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, my dad growing up, he watched a lot of like the Giants.
Okay.
So I watched a lot of the Giants, but like they're not really a team you can ride with because they're never in the playoffs. But like I watched them during the season, But when it comes like the playoff time, I mean, like last year I was going with for the Bengals because I mean, like I like a good underdog story. But other than that, I think previous years before, I think, I like Mahomes, so I was watching the Chiefs as well. Some people might call me a bandwagon, but when you like the Giants, you gotta go for another team in the playoffs. So
Yeah, fair enough. And hopefully you're in Columbus and can see some AFC title games between the Bengals and the Chiefs going forward. Little Mahomes versus Burrow action in the future.
that'd be great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And with the future in mind, we'll finish up here, and I really appreciate the time, James. This was great, and I'm happy to get to know you. You're a great guy. What does the future look like for you? Obviously, you've got the playoffs coming up, but what are your goals this offseason and then going forward into next season?
Yeah, so right now I'm gonna be focusing on my time in Quebec. I think we can make a good run in the playoffs, so I'm very excited about that. And then after that, I think just training in the off season, coming down to Columbus for development camp, doing good over there, going back for the rookie camp, for the rookie tournament in Traverse, have a good rookie tournament over there. And yeah, I think just making them, confident and comfortable with me and making them happy and just keep progressing in my game and working on things that, will help me on the ice. And then coming back into Quebec next year and yeah, just be ready and confident and have a good season.
All right, James. Well, like I said, really appreciate the time. It was great to get to know you. Very, very interesting. I'm rooting for you now that I know you as well, so that's good. Best of luck in the postseason, and I'll probably see you in a couple of months here in person at development camp, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great speaking with you.
So again, that's Blue Jackets prospect James Malatesta. They drafted him in the 5th round, 133rd overall in the 2021 NHL entry draft, and can you see what I mean? Really smart, really energetic, really fun, very insightful. I loved getting to know James Malatesta, so I will certainly be rooting for him going forward, and I really do believe he could be something for the Blue Jackets. He's a later round draft pick, but he's been consistent in his time in Quebec. He's been consistent in his time this season with the Quebec Remparts. Again, one of the top teams in the queue this year. Real opportunity to make some noise in the postseason, and I think James is going to be a big part of that. He's scored goals. He's scoring more and more goals right now, and he really plays that tough physical style that I think translates well to postseason hockey, and it translates well to what the Blue Jackets do as well, right? That's how a lot of the Blue Jackets play, and that's what the Blue Jackets want to do going forward. That tough, hard to play against, energetic style that always plays in the National Hockey League. So that has me thinking that James Malatesta might have something going for him going forward. But that will do it for this week's edition of the Pipeline Podcast. Great big thank you to James Malatesta for joining me. All the best to James as he starts the postseason here in a couple of weeks. And of course, I'd like to say thank you for joining me this week on the Pipeline Podcast. Can't wait to do it again soon.